You are in your bedroom at this very moment. The door is shut, the lights are off. Maybe someone is lying beside you. Maybe you are by yourself. Either way, no one can see you, no one can hear you. You are completely, utterly invisible to the outside world, and you have never once thought of that as something that had to be invented, but that is exactly what it is. The kind of privacy you are sitting inside right now is one of the newest things in the entire history of our species. It is younger than farming, younger than the wheel, younger than written language. For 290,000 years of human existence, this moment you are in right now was not rare, not hard to arrange, but simply impossible. And the strangest part is that the people who lived every single day without it were not suffering because it was missing. We are the ones who are suffering, so here is the question. What did ancient humans actually do when they had zero privacy? For everyday life, for sleeping, for everything that makes us human. The answer is stranger, more thoughtful, and more connected to your life right now than you probably expect. For the first 290,000 years of human existence, the entire radius of your life was roughly 50 feet. That is not a metaphor. In 1992, an anthropologist named Robin Dunbar at Oxford University published research that pulled together decades of field observations from foraging societies on every inhabited continent. His discovery was this: the average hunter-gatherer band kept almost constant physical closeness. Members of the group were separated by less than 50 feet during most of their waking hours. 50 feet is about the length of a school bus, and inside that school bus, 15 to 50 people were living every single moment of their lives. They slept together, they ate from the same fire, they moved as one group. There were no walls, no separate rooms, no assigned spaces, no surface of any kind that separated one person's life from another's. If you had an argument with your partner, 40 people heard it. If you were sick, 40 people knew before you even said a word. If you felt desire, you felt it inside that same 50-foot circle with nowhere else to go. And here is the crucial detail that changes everything. This was not the experience of the poor or the unlucky. The strongest hunters lived this way. The most respected elders lived this way. The leaders lived this way. No one in the group had privacy. The idea did not even exist. What they had instead was something far more advanced. They built privacy out of mutual agreement, not out of stone, wood, or mud. They built it out of a shared understanding about what people would and would not openly acknowledge. In 2014, an anthropologist named David Sampson at the University of Toronto completed a years-long study of sleep patterns and social behavior among the Hadza people of Tanzania. The Hadza are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups whose way of life most closely matches how humans lived before farming. Sampson documented 3 behaviors that appeared so consistently across his observations that they worked like unwritten laws. The first was timing. When the fires burned low and natural light disappeared, the social agreement of the group quietly shifted. Darkness was not just cover, it was a shared signal. Everyone understood what that signal meant. Everyone agreed to act as though they did not notice what was happening. The second behavior was distance. Moving 50 to 100 feet away from the sleeping group in near total darkness was understood without anyone having to say a word. In complete darkness without any artificial light, 50 feet is functionally invisible. The Hadza, the Actor of the Philippines, the Ike of Paraguay, Sampson's cross-cultural review found the same pattern in every foraging group he examined. You move away. No one follows, that is the rule. The third behavior was the most sophisticated of all. Collective silence. Not the silence of people who simply do not know something. The silence of people who have agreed not to admit what they do know. An anthropologist named Colin Turnbull, who lived for years with the Mbuti people of Central Africa, documented this in detail. He noted that the Mbuti had no word for privacy. Not because they were unsophisticated, but because the behavior itself did not need a word. It was simply understood. You do not comment on what you did not see. Timing, distance, collective silence, 3 behaviors that required no materials at all. That was the structure of private life for 290,000 years, and some cultures later made it even more deliberate. Around 10,000 years ago, something changed. Humans started farming. Farming meant staying in one place. Staying in one place meant building. Building meant walls. For the first time in the entire history of the species, you could close a door. You could be in a space that no one else could see into. But here is what almost no one says about that moment. It was not a liberation, it was a trade. In 1996, an archaeologist named Ian Hodder at Cambridge University published a major analysis of Çatalhöyük, a 9,000-year-old farming village in what is now Turkey. It is one of the earliest known examples of permanent human housing. Hodder found that the shift from open communal living to walled domestic spaces came with something unexpected, a measurable rise in signs of interpersonal conflict. Tool damage consistent with fighting. Skeletal injuries from violence between people. The walls gave people separation. They also gave people something to defend. Privacy created the idea of mine. Mine meant that someone else could take it, and the concept of mine had never existed before. Even after walls appeared, privacy remained a luxury for most of human history. In medieval Europe, whole families shared a single room. Travelers at inns shared beds with strangers. Servants slept at the foot of their masters' beds. Children sharing a mattress with 3 or 4 siblings was not a sign of poverty. It was normal life, right up until the 1800s. The private bedroom you woke up in this morning became a common feature of ordinary life only around 1920. That is 100 years ago. Out of 300,000 years, that is the last 0.03% of human history. And in that 0.03%, something started happening to us that had never happened before. Today, the average adult in the developed world spends more time alone than any human being in the 300,000-year history of our species. We have more physical privacy than any humans who have ever lived. Loneliness is now officially classified by the World Health Organization as a global public health crisis. People report having fewer close friends than at any time in recorded history. Depression, anxiety, and social isolation are rising in every country that has achieved the kind of privacy that ancient humans never had. The walls worked, we got everything we built them for, and we are more disconnected from each other than at any other moment in the entire history of our species. Ancient humans never had a door to close. They built connection out of the only material they had, each other. We built walls to protect that connection, and somewhere along the way, we forgot what we were trying to protect. The Mbuti had no word for privacy, because privacy was not something they needed to name. What they needed to name were their relationships. Every person in the group, every role, every bond. Those were the things their language had hundreds of words for. We have 100 words for different kinds of rooms. We struggle to name what we feel when we are inside them alone. For 290,000 years, humans were never alone. They found ways to be private without ever being isolated. They built intimacy not by separating from the group, but by trusting it. Then we built walls, and we have been trying to find each other through them ever since.